Hello, my name is Randy today, and I'm here to read the Daily Reflections book for September 19th, 2025. It's called Acceptance. We admitted we couldn't lick alcohol with our own remaining resources, and so we accepted the further fact that dependence upon a higher power, if only our AA group, could do this hitherto impossible job. The moment we were able to accept these facts fully, our release from the alcohol compulsion had begun. That's from As Bill Sees It, page 109. Freedom came to me only with my acceptance that I could turn my will and my life over to the care of my higher power, whom I call God. Serenity seeped into the chaos of my life when I accepted that what I was going through was life, and that God would help me through my difficulties, and much more as well. Since then, He has helped me through all my difficulties. When I accept situations as they are, not as I wish them to be, then I can begin to grow and have serenity and peace of mind. Period. The end of the reading. Believe it or not, I read this thing live like 4 previous times just this today and messed each one of them up in some manner. So we're going to roll with this one. And I've got some things I want to say here. This at the beginning, under acceptance, we admitted we couldn't lick alcohol with our own remaining resources. And so we accepted the further fact that dependence upon a higher power, if only our AA group, I'm going to stop there, could do this hitherto impossible job, period, is that opening line, I think. Yeah, that's kind of wordy for me. Anyhow, this higher power and the AA group, and finding out that maybe you're at a point where you don't want to do the alcoholism thing any longer. So, or you've tried it before, try and be sober, try and stitch together a couple hours of sobriety, a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple months, whatever it may be, and you find yourself returning back to the same trap, I'll call it, of active alcoholism. So, this last part of that first line here, hitherto impossible job, that's what I found. Still, even just life, like it was saying down here in the text, I accepted that what I was going through was life. You know, this isn't a dress rehearsal. This is the live thing. Not only just here with this particular reading today, right now, but everything else that you do, like, you know, when you roll out of bed in the morning, or whatever you do, when you become conscious, awake, and aware, and start trying to move your way around on planet Earth, or maybe a different planet if this thing lasts that long, you know, it's the real deal. So I found a lot of that was very difficult, and I turned to drinking. This was years and years and years ago, okay? And like a lot of people, I guess, I thought I had a handle on my alcoholism. That was not the case. So, if you go back and look at some of my other videos, I'll just say, you know, I came to Alcoholics Anonymous and started hearing things like the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And the first one of those steps, I don't know if you can read it or not here, is step 1 of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Okay, so I had that awareness somewhere in my alcoholism. I'll just say that for now. And for years and years after having that awareness, I kept plowing along, drinking. And as it went, life became more and more unmanageable. I'm trying to set the tone here for where it says, where with God's help we calmly accepted our lot, that we found we could live at peace with ourselves. Oh, I'm sorry, that's freedom from fear. That's from September 17th. We're trying to read this one here, September 19th, acceptance. We admitted we couldn't lick alcohol with our own remaining resources. And so we accepted the further fact that dependence upon a higher power, if only our AA group, could do this hitherto impossible job. So I'm trying to paint that hitherto impossibleness of where I was at in my active alcoholism. And after many attempts, I couldn't get it together, man. I needed help. Like I said in a previous video, I needed to be locked up inpatient treatment facility because I couldn't be trusted. So that happened. It happened twice. And, you know, it was at my bequest. I initiated. Well, that's kind of... It was... I don't want to get into all that. Somehow or another, my employer suggested to me that perhaps you could use some type of counseling in your life, and then we had a nice talk about my situation. And I told them straight up exactly what it was. It's alcoholism, and I need to be locked up. I can't be trusted. And it was wonderful because they helped me with staying alive. It's serious business here. If you're an alcoholic, I am an alcoholic. I'm an alcoholic in remission now, and that's wonderful. So, a very key part of this opening statement. And so we accepted the further fact that dependence upon a higher power, the higher power thing is one part of this that's really important. And then the second part is if that's only your AA group. Okay, and so let me read step 11, just so you are familiar with this statement here. The ending, I believe, of step 11. Or it right square almost in the middle of step 11, it says, God as we understand Him. Okay, so the full step 11 says, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understand Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. So this hitherto impossible task of putting the cork back in the bottle and laying off the jug for a bit, how does one do that if they're an alcoholic like I was? Well, it takes help. That a lot of people say this, that's why the first step starts with the word we. We admitted we were alcoholic or whatever it says, and the rest of the way there, that what does it say? Let's look that up. We were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. I kind of lost my point now. When you find that out, powerless over alcohol, your life is unmanageable, and say you get into a situation where you're ready to try and quit drinking, it's going to take effort. Because, you know, when I was drinking, it was hard to go, you know, in some span of hours without a drink. I kind of had it figured out for work, you know, for some, I don't know, 20 years. that I would drink so much overnight when I was supposed to be sleeping that I'd go into work basically hammered. And I was able to keep telling myself, well, I wasn't drinking on the job. Well, you know, when you're showing up with a BAC that's like over the legal limit, you may as well just be having a beer right at your machine or whatever you're doing at work. So anyways, and then about the first thought on my mind was, as soon as I leave this place, I'm going back to the bottle, you know, and that went on for decades. Unmanageable. And I just kept denying it and lying to myself, and you know, all the crafty, what we think was, well, what we thought were crafty and clever ways of, you know, getting around the bend, I guess, just hammered without anybody taking it away from us. I'm sure everybody knew exactly, well, not exactly, but they knew I was drinking all the time. You know, and I never wanted to accept that. Right here, let's get back to today's reading. Acceptance within like the context of the ninth step, which I'll read that here. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. You know, how does one do that? Okay, so we need to just go back a little bit here about this higher power thing, and then the AA group, if that's your only thing or whatever. So, when I fully understood and accepted and admitted I'm an alcoholic and my life is unmanageable in step one, I got into AA, and then this thing came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. That's step two. And then step three, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. And again now, this, as we understood Him, part of the God thing. I didn't have a clue. I thought I had a clue or whatever, and I just didn't know anything about God and didn't even think He existed when I came into AA. So that's another ingenious way that they put this whole God thing in AA, as you understand Him. So if this is your God, you know, what was that movie so long ago? The gods must be crazy with the local tribe is worshipping a Coca-Cola bottle, I think, as like their god, because it fell from the sky, and they didn't know how to, you know, discern what that was. They didn't know airplanes. They didn't know any of that. So, you know, that became their god. AA can be exactly the same way for you if that's the way it's going to work for you. So that's kind of where I was at. It's like I didn't have, I'm almost certain I don't have the same understanding of God as you do. So, you know, this was, I saw another little ray of hope in this program that maybe it could help me. Where are we at here for time, man? 13 minutes. I need to get rolling along here. Made this decision to turn our will and our lives over to God as we understood Him. And then in today's reading, like it says, acceptance, we admitted we couldn't lick alcohol with our own remaining resources, and so we accepted the further fact that dependence upon a higher power, in parentheses, if only our AA group, end parentheses, could do this hitherto impossible task, job, whatever. Okay, because unmanageable and powerlessness. Fully engaged with those two words, man. That's where I was at in life. And the only way it started to work is exactly what it is saying in today's reading about acceptance. The moment we were able to accept these facts fully, the higher power thing, and if that's only the AA group because that's how you need to understand your higher power or power greater than or God or whatever. And how that worked for me, I'm just going to stick with this. How that worked for me is after weeks and weeks, I was going to one meeting a week, and weeks and weeks and weeks of going to the same meeting with pretty much the same people. I'm like, these people seem all right, except for being alcoholics that are in remission. And any of the things like, what a bunch of boring old, and religious or teetotalers, or I just, anything I had conceived in my mind of AA people in meetings, I didn't have anything right at all. And they were just like me. So it felt very comfortable after showing up for weeks and weeks. And something I started to realize is that, these people were just like me in this maybe lower spot, if you picture it that way. And now they seem quite happy, pleased, and content with life. And some of them haven't drank in 30 years. Some haven't drank in 4 years. Some hadn't drank in like 15 years. And here I am wondering, how am I going to get another day sobriety in? This is just so difficult and so foreign and so uncomfortable. Hitherto impossible, right? And, I just kept showing up at the meetings and not drinking. And I figured that's going to be enough commitment from me for now. If I do two things, I don't drink alcohol and I keep coming to these meetings, I have faith and desperation enough that maybe something will change, and it might change for the better. And so if your concept of AA is only your AA group, or if your concept of God is only the AA group about you, hey, fine. A lot of people, it's even recommended or stated somewhere in our big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, the same type of thing. And that worked quite well for me. It got me on the horse of God, if you want to put it that way. I put it that way. I don't think I will again, but what I had pictured in my mind is these people were like me in the desperate throes of fatal, untreated alcoholism. That's certainly where I was. And look at them now. Some of them for like 30 years, 2 years, 5 years, 14 years, whatever I said. And they seem normal to me. At least they have something about them and a way of going through life, as I noted, after weeks and weeks and weeks of hanging out with these people, going to the meetings, and then even going to like lunch or something with them. They seemed normal. They had something I wanted, is kind of what you would see in the text, I think, and that's very true for me. It's like, how come I can't be like these people? Maybe if I do two things, keep coming to the meetings and stop drinking alcohol, maybe I can. I aspired to become like them, at least, was something. It was something better than where I was coming from, the gutter and untreated, fatal, chronic, progressive alcoholism, which was killing me. Literally. Okay, so here, where are we at? 19 minutes. Freedom came to me only with my acceptance that I could turn my will and my life over to the care of my higher power, if it's only the AA group about you. And I just latched onto that like a life preserver, which it was, metaphorically, I guess, or, figuratively. Just so serenity seeped into the chaos of my life when I accepted that what I was going through was life, and that God would help me through my difficulties. True. True, true, true. He's helped me with all my difficulties. Look, before this thing just rudely cuts me off, I'm going to say I'll rudely cut myself off here and stop here. Come back again, and we'll keep reading this book. And tomorrow, if I get at this, it's called, for September 20, HP, Higher Power as Guide. Okay, so I can't promise you that I'll be here, though. Who knows? Maybe I'll start drinking. Been sober 20 years. Happy with it for overall 15 years of it, maybe. But I haven't returned to drinking. So, that's the way it goes sometimes. Thank you. Have a good day. Keep up the hard work. Congratulations if you're sober. Congratulations for even thinking you might need some kind of help with anything in your life. Getting over yourself, getting over that self-pride, man. That's a bear. So I'll get back with you later, I hope, at some point. Goodbye.